Have you ever noticed you have certain quirks or habits that just don't seem to fit the mold? Well, today we're going to look at some fascinating signs of intelligence that most people, maybe even you, completely overlook or even feel a bit weird about. So let's just start with a really big question. What if those little things you do, the habits you've maybe been told to hide or fix, are actually signals of a much rarer, more creative form of intelligence? We're going to explore that idea right now.
Okay, first things first, we have to tear down the old way of thinking about what it means to be smart. For forever, we've been taught that intelligence is something you can measure on a test. It's about getting good grades, solving a math problem super fast. It's all very neat, very structured, A to B thinking. But you know what? That's an incredibly narrow view, and it leaves a ton of real genius completely off the table. So if that's the old dusty model, what's the new one? Well, this brings us to a totally different way of looking at how our brains work. Let's call it rare intelligence. Just look at the difference here. On one side, you have conventional intelligence. It's all about speed, right? Finding the known answer, fast. But on the other side, you have this rare intelligence. It's not about speed at all. It's about this deep, relentless curiosity. It's about asking questions nobody else is even thinking of and connecting ideas that seem totally random. This isn't about following rules. It's about digging deep to understand why the rules are there in the first place.
So what does this actually look like in real life? How do you spot it? Let's dive into the 7 surprising habits that give it away. All right, let's get into our very first sign. And I have a feeling this one might hit a little too close to home for some of us. Yep, a messy workspace. We're always told a clean desk means a clean mind, but get this. Research actually suggests the opposite can be true. A little bit of chaos can actually break your brain out of its usual rigid patterns. It encourages what's called divergent thinking. Basically, when you're not wasting energy on making everything perfectly neat, your mind is free to make these amazing novel connections. You know, suddenly seeing the link between a random book on your desk and a scribble on a sticky note. That's something a perfectly tidy space just might not spark.
Okay, next up, sign number 2. This is something we've probably all done, but, tried to do it when no one was looking. You talk to yourself. Now, far from being strange, this is actually an incredibly powerful tool for your brain. When you talk through a problem out loud, you're basically forcing your brain to organize your thoughts logically, almost like you're explaining it to someone else. The act of saying it makes it clearer, it helps lock it into your memory, and it allows you to coach yourself through a tough spot. It's like having a high-performance coach, and that coach is you.
Our third habit is one that has a really, really bad reputation. I mean, universally. Procrastination. But wait, we're talking about strategic procrastination. This isn't about being lazy. It's about deliberately putting something off to give your mind time to incubate the ideas. When you step away, your brain keeps working on the problem in the background, making connections your focused mind would totally miss. This is where the truly creative, out-of-the-box solutions come from, instead of you just grabbing the first most obvious answer.
All right, on to number 4. This one is all about how you move, or rather how you can't stop moving. Doodling and fidgeting? Yeah, it might look like you're not paying attention, but it's actually a brilliant way your brain keeps itself on track. Think about it. These little physical movements give your brain just enough stimulation to keep it from completely zoning out and daydreaming. It's an outlet that actually helps you maintain focus on the main thing, like a long meeting, because it keeps the bored part of your brain occupied. Okay, for our 5th sign, we're shifting gears a bit from what goes on inside your head to how you interact with the world around you. You question rules and authority. Now, this isn't about being rebellious just for the sake of it. This is the very heart of critical thinking. If you have this trait, you're just not satisfied with the answer, well, that's just the way we do things. You need to understand the why behind the system. You take it apart in your head to see how it works, find the flaws, and maybe, just maybe, find a better way. Honestly, that impulse is what drives all innovation.
Let's move on to our 6th sign, and this one has to do with our friendships and social circles. You have just a few, but very, very deep friendships. Our culture sometimes celebrates having tons of friends and a huge social network, but choosing to have a smaller circle can be a huge indicator of high emotional intelligence. It shows you value quality over quantity. You're investing your mental and emotional energy into building real, meaningful connections. It's a conscious choice to go deep instead of wide. And that brings us to our final habit. This one challenges one of the biggest rules we're taught about living a disciplined life. You keep irregular sleep hours.
This is so often seen as just being undisciplined, but for a lot of highly creative people, it's about listening to their body's natural clock. Their brains don't just switch on at 9 a.m. and off at 5 p.m., they work in these intense bursts of creative energy. So instead of fighting it, they ride that wave of inspiration, even if it peaks late at night, because that's when their brain is doing its most brilliant work. So we've gone through all 7 of these strange habits. What's the big takeaway here? Why does it even matter to think about them this way? I think this quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald just says it all perfectly. Real first-rate intelligence isn't about being perfect and orderly. It's about being able to handle complexity. It's about looking at a messy desk and seeing it as a creative launchpad. It's seeing procrastination not as laziness, but as a strategic tool. It's holding both ideas in your head at once, the misconception and the reality, and understanding the deeper truth. And that really brings us to the most important point of all. This whole thing is about giving yourself permission to reimagine what your own intelligence looks like. So maybe it's time to stop judging your own quirks and start getting curious about them. Think about it. What's your strangest habit? What if it isn't some weakness you need to fix, but actually a clue to your own unique, rare form of intelligence? What hidden strength is just waiting for you to